everybody, and welcome to another episode. My name is Dancho. You know me, I'm the host. And today we're going to do another episode on helping B2B high ticket service providers grow one lesson at a time. And as you know by now, every lesson I actually bring a different expert to share that lessons because, of course, I don't have that many lessons to share. It will be a very short podcast. So for today, I'm happy to announce Martin Kivit from Open Cloud BSS. Martin, welcome.
Thank you very much, Dansha. Nice being here today.
Well, without further ado, I wanted to actually I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk with you because in addition to the podcast, I mean, we know each other for like 12 months, 13 months, a year already. Wow, nice. So I wanted you to share the story with our audience. To kick off the interview, let's start with the origin story. We all want to hear about how you came to where you are and share a bit with the people who is Martin.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the opportunity of being here. And yes, 12 months already working together is quite some time, but quite fruitful. So looking forward to a longer time when it comes to that. I guess, to start my story is maybe not as standard as most. I'm actually a dropout from secondary school. So when I was about 16, I decided to leave school because sitting at a desk, all day listening to someone telling me what to do did not really feel well for me as a person. So I didn't go to university, that kind of stuff, but really, got to learn my stuff hands-on. Started working in a supermarket, which was the easiest thing to do with no papers, of course, and supermarket will take anyone. So that was an easy start. Did this for about 10 years and then almost by accident ended up in telco. Started working as a telco shop manager. Supermarket telco shop was quite easy.
Just merchandise.
Yeah, it's different merchandise. Well, it's a completely different sales process also. In the supermarket, people just walk in and grab what they want, where now all of a sudden you actually move into giving people personal advice. And just maybe from a conceptual perspective, the shop I started to work in was smaller than the canteen of the supermarket I came from. And I was managing a shop with, we had like 120 employees in the supermarket, up to a group of 8 people into a telco store. So it's quite a big and interesting change. Working in telcos, I slowly went to headquarters, did other stuff. And then at some point in time, I got almost by accident involved into an IT project where my assignment was quite simple. The sales manager told me, Martin, IT is doing a project and I just don't want to be bothered by it. Please take care of that.
There you go, on your desk.
Correct, sorted. So that was my introduction to BSS, or Business Support Systems, CRM and Billing Systems. I never heard of that before, until 2009. But actually had quite a lot of fun in that project. And when we entered into the second phase of the project itself, I was actually not only making sure that sales wasn't impacted, but effectively the whole business of our telco, which was Telfort and operated in the Netherlands at that point. I was managing their business transformation. So for me, introduction to BSS products, introduction to business transformation in telcos, and I actually really started to enjoy what I was doing over there. It was a role between business and IT, with I think a main focus on processes. So that's how I effectively ended up. And we talk about 2009 back then. And well, from there, the story has always been about BSS platforms, telcos, business processes, transformation of organizations, and now actually going into the introduction of our own a BSS platform as a software supplier. But so although there was different angles to the story, I think there is one red line, and that's selling telco, servicing telco customers in that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, when you said BSS, in my head was like BFF, best friends forever. But then I realized BSS is like the support services. But
yes,
it's interesting that because when you're into the support services, you're looking about someone has a very nice idea and all the supporting side that they need to take care of in order to grow that one thing. So when we also work with high ticket service providers, with consultants especially, it's like a very strong person, very intellectual, strong one. he needs a lot of supporting services from marketing, from sales, from accounting, from subscription, from everything actually. And that's why I was actually interested to have this conversation, because when you specialize in business support services, it's really a great area to learn more about, even for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at if you look at the software that we're creating and selling to our customers, it supports effectively every business area inside a telco operator. Now, for marketing, it wants to sell products, it wants to create new offers and configure them. Sales organization trying to sell them to their customers and create new customers, contracts. Customer services to answer any questions, create trouble tickets, or make changes to existing customers, billing people, financial people for sending the invoices. And of course, also the IT department that actually run, maintain, and operate the system. So from that perspective, there's not maybe the only department we don't really work with is the HR department in a telco operator. But besides that, every element of the organization in our customer is actually utilizing our system. And I think that makes my life quite nice and diverse. I've learned over time that marketing people are completely different than IT people, and therefore also need to be treated differently. I think the best way to describe that is when we were at Telfort, we had Christmas parties. Yeah? The IT Christmas party would start somewhere on a Wednesday at 4:00 and would finish by 6:00. But by 5:00, most people were gone. The marketing Christmas party would be more like on a Thursday evening, close to the weekend, would start about 7:00 in the evening. About 11:00, they would be kicked out of the building because the security wants to close the building, but they would all take taxis and go somewhere else to continue the party.
After party.
Yeah, and I think that really shows the difference in people that are working in IT and in marketing. And I think that also explains quite easily why those departments typically have some friction in working together, because the way they look at the world is so completely different that they really speak different languages. And I think that's what I like. I'd like to be at IT party, but also love enjoying the marketing party and actually sit in the middle there. And for me, that's the most fun place to be.
Yeah, well, interesting when you put a stereotype. A marketing guy is an outgoing extrovert person talking with a lot of people. Even sales is in the same bracket. Well, typical developer is a geeky guy that don't bother me. I just want to be in my own world with the computer. Yeah. And trying to make a support system around both of them, it's like, wow. But interesting, you said, so you're specialized in the support service in the telco industry, right?
Yes.
How did you actually choose as a niche, or it was just because of you had that experience in the telco, you've realized what kind of support services they need in particular?
Okay. So perhaps there's also a lesson in that part. So my expertise is in telco. So that's where my background comes from. When we started building our platform, we did not necessarily consider only telco. So effectively, from a platform perspective, we can support any type of subscription. So if you want to sell a Netflix subscription or cloud services or any subscription you want to sell, we can effectively support. But then from a marketing perspective, our marketing perspective, company marketing, trying to start selling your solution, if you can do anything for anyone, you have effectively nothing.
Of course, exactly. No, but that's a good point. So the platform is more helping any type of subscription business, but instead of going for all industries in all verticals at once, unless you're a millionaire, you said, let's start with the one that I actually know about, because that's more native to me. And then, of course, once we exhaust that category, or once we explore all the opportunities there, we can easily add additional verticals.
Absolutely. And that's also from a network perspective. My network also lays in telco, and that makes selling into that area also easier. And while working with telcos, because telcos are expanding their service portfolio quite significantly, we are actually adding additional service on top of our platform, like house insurances. We've got even life insurances, all those kind of things are actually already added. So our platform is already while working with telcos, showing that we can support other services with our existing customers, which then makes it even easier to move into other verticals, because we have the reference cases of not only telco, but effectively any type of service. So also from that perspective, it's a good strategy for us to start in telco, expand there, and then move to other verticals.
Nice. You thought it out well.
Not everything I can tell you. We've learned a lot of lessons along the way. We really started with, okay, we can do subscription service. And then really struggle to get traction and get into the right audience. And I think when we started narrow down our methods and say, okay, this is the niche we go for. We go for telcos, and we don't go for large telcos. We go for smaller telcos.
Yeah, a sub-segment of a sub-segment, niche within a niche within a niche.
Yeah. I think that really helped us to get the traction that we were looking for. And from there, we actually started growing our business much quicker.
Nice. Well, I'm sure that throughout this journey, like it or not, if you had to keep up with the marketing and the IT departments, you did had to become to wear a lot of different hats and actually obtain a lot of different kind of expertise. But if you have to choose one, like what's the one thing that you really feel that you're expert in?
Okay. So yeah. So choosing the one thing is always, I think, the most complicated part, but maybe also the most important part. If I look back at my career, then I think the key red line in my career, and that goes back to the supermarket, is processes. I think the key thing that I'm really good at is that I can understand processes, see where they can be improved, and understand how people can and should utilize them. And then it doesn't matter what this process is, what it supports, because at the end of the day, anything in life follows a process.
Yeah.
And I think understanding that part and putting things in perspective in that way is really helping me to understand what my customers are expecting, but also to talk to them, because you can always bring it back into what are the steps you're trying to do, what is the interaction you're trying to do. And the process is also not only a way where people work, but actually it's the link how people work with systems, and systems are actually supporting the processes, and bad systems lead to bad processes, which lead to frustrated people. So I think also the process is the glue between the IT people, the platforms, and the marketing people on the other side.
So as long as you have clearly outlined processes, there won't be any frictions between them. Yeah, but I think I kind of agree with you, because even creating a set of steps like a process makes clarity within the companies. Even when you onboard new people, you must have set of rules or guidelines or processes. When you onboard a new client, also you need to have some set of processes. And maybe that's why when there is non-clarity, where there is ambiguity, then people are starting to argue, to fight, is this my job or is this your job, or this is supposed, how is this supposed to happen, or stuff. And just having processes and systems in place actually makes everybody more efficient, of course, but also gives some clarity. Okay, that's actually an interesting aspect of looking at things. And I'm curious, well, how did you actually got to realize that the processes are thing? Did you actually learn the hard way by making all the possible mistakes? Or, I mean, you actually talked just with someone and that someone told you, you know what, stick to processes and that's it?
I think from my side, it's more like a natural thing that came. So somehow, if I look back, I've always looked at things from a structural way. I didn't maybe call it processes at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think the real part where I started to focus on processes and drawing processes was back in 2009 when I ended up in that BSS project with Telfort. That's where I really start to sit down and actually worked with a guy there, Hans Klein. I'll never forget him again. It was a process nerd, but a great process guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really structured, really structured in the way processes have to be decided, have to follow a specific way. I can never in my life draw a process that has crossing lines. It's like a destiny, which is those kind of silly things. But yeah, I think 2009 is really what I started to start drawing processes and go into that and make it much more a formal thing. But before that, it was much more, in my mind, bringing structure, which again was a process, but in a different form and shape for me at that moment than it is now.
Nice. Well, I'm just thinking out loud, Martin. Can anybody be that organized and systematic? Because the other thing is that there are people that are organized chaos, where everything is just in chaos, but when they need something, they know exactly where it is. And is it just a state of mind? I mean, when I'm thinking about characters, some people are well organized, structured, and in systems in places, and they follow strict process. Well, there are other characters that are a bit more chaotic.
Of course, your character will mainly drive it, but I do believe that it's a trait you can actually teach yourself. So if you would ask a lady I work with who really has OCD and is very structured and organized, and if I need something to be structured or if I need something to be followed up on, I'll always give it to her because she's extremely structured, and I'm definitely not that. I'm quite flexible in my mind, so I think we should go left, but throughout the day I might actually decide to go a little bit the other way because I'm learning that that's actually better. So I'm not that structured by nature, but I have taught myself to actually draw down processes, and I've got my tool for that. I use Lucidchart as an online tool, and whenever I need to structure something, I go there and I start structuring it, start putting it into a process. So it's something I've taught myself to do because I'm not the most structured guy in the world. I would definitely not say that, and I will know a few people, including my wife, that will confirm. I think if I can learn this to myself, then I believe that is something that also other people can teach themselves. But of course, like anything, it comes with a bit of dedication and focus.
Nice. So I actually took out another advice from you. So everybody that wants to do process, Lucidchart, you said the software was?
Yeah, Lucidchart is the software I use. It's free, it's collaborative. You can get a subscription on it if you want to make it bigger. But it allows you to make process diagrams. I actually also used it recently. I purchased a house to make my house layouts and start working around with furniture in it. So it's multidimensional. You can use it in different ways. Wow.
I haven't thought of creating processes in that regard, but that's like advanced level of processing. Well, while we're talking about the processes, is there a one single lesson that you've learned or that you want to share? And I usually tease here, in 50 years from now, what do you want to actually be remembered for? And is there any lesson that you've learned that's related to this expertise?
So I think the key thing is to never assume. I think, don't stop asking. I think at the moment you start assuming something because I've done this process for 3 different operators and if all of them it's similar to this, so it will be the same. I think that's the biggest mistake you can make. People use the same word in different contexts, in different language, in different companies. And before you know it, you've built up a whole set of assumptions based on the first incorrect assumption. So never assume. And that's also where then drawing process helps again. Because instead of talking about something that I have in my head and in my mind and I think how it will work, by putting it on paper, you take out the ambiguity and you take out the assumptions of that. And it becomes crystal clear about what happens in the system, what are people doing, where is interaction, where you even need integration with other systems. Never stop asking, never assume. That would be really my key lesson.
I'm recalling there was a saying, assumption is mother of all screw-ups or something that was a saying. But I understand that when you put it on a paper, when we're talking about something, I'm assuming one thing, you're assuming a different thing. But when you put it on a paper, then you can even see, now we're looking at the same thing. But also when you start looking at it, then you can start finding your weak spots. Like, wait, now that I have it in front of me, why is this like this? Why is actually, can it be improved or can it be tweaked a bit? So I completely understand your point with assumption. And that saying that I just said was really used in software development, because when the client says, I need the feature, he assumes that developers knows exactly what is expected.
Yep.
And the developer is like, okay, he wants like this. What's the least thing I need to do in order to get it just what was asked for me, like a requirement? And I know that, the assumptions was a big headache when I was working into the software development.
Yes, there's a great picture on that. You can definitely find it on the internet. It's where a customer asks for a swing chair. And you will then see how the swing chair looks like from a customer perspective, from a developer perspective, from a tester perspective, from a project manager perspective. Everyone has different perspectives on life. I think if you don't know it, try to Google the picture. I'm quite sure you can find it. But yeah, it's a great way to show how perception and assumptions can differ depending on the people and depending on the role.
Yeah, I've actually seen that picture, and it was really quite funny because
Yes.
it's funny because there is truth in it, and that's why.
There's extreme truth in it. It's absolutely true. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Martin, what are the plans for the future? I mean, you have the Open Cloud BSS. I think it's growing perfectly. And what are the future plans?
Okay, so from our perspective, my future plan is to grow Open Cloud BSS into like a 100 million revenue company. You know, that's the ambition. So that's what we're going for. So if you look at the industry and we stay in telco for now, then telco industry is quite changing. You know, this 5G introduction, but also like we said earlier, telcos are introducing all kinds of new services next to connectivity. And 5G will only increase that. And that effectively means that they need different support systems because the legacy support systems can support telco, but are very difficult, are struggling to support other services. And that's where telcos will have to replace their existing support systems or enhance their existing business support systems to be able to cope with the challenge that they have in that case. And well, we started building our platform back in 2018, specifically for this focus. And what we see at the moment is not many competitors are there yet. So we do have a head start when it comes to this space. We strongly believe. So yeah, that's definitely our ambition. Grow 100 million revenue, serious company from there, and help our customers to sell as many different services as they would like to, and grow their share of wallet of their customers.
Nice. Well, that's really ambitious number, 100 million.
Yes.
Feels like there are a lot of zeros in there, like 3 and 2, 5 and 3, 8 zeros. Wow.
Aim high.
Like 1 zero at a time. Slowly, but perfectly.
Slowly.
Well, Martin, where can you be reached? I mean, I understand that the business support services are important, and especially there are a lot of high-ticket companies that are in the subscription model, and I'm sure that they could use your help in order to get the support services. As you said, it's always a headache to connect marketing and IT and management and finance and other departments under one umbrella. So where could actually people reach out to you?
Okay. Well, best place to reach me is on LinkedIn. That's the platform I'm active most. So yeah, search me, Martin Kivit, on LinkedIn. That should be an easy way to find. There's not that many Martin Kivits in the world, so that narrows down the list quite significantly. But yeah, you know, and yeah, for anyone that's watching this video, feel free to reach out. You know, not just to buy something, but also if you want some advice, just some conversation. Always happy to talk and grow my network from that perspective.
Nice. And in addition to LinkedIn, you have the opencloudbss.com, I think is the website.
Correct. Opencloudbss.com is indeed the website where you can always also go to see our product and get a better understanding of what it is we're selling from there. Yes.
Yeah, and I actually know that you have some white papers there and many additional stuff that people can read more on the topic and see how a supporting system can fit their needs. Martin, I really want to thank you for the time that you spent here. I really find it useful, and that was the whole logic behind this podcast that we are setting up, is that we want to talk with a lot of high-ticket service providers and start getting lessons from every one of them has available lessons to share. So with you is that the processes are very important, but don't make the assumptions because, yeah, you know the saying. I'm not going to do it again, but thank you very much again for being a guest on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. I enjoyed being here, and thanks.
Have a great day then, Martin.
Same to you. Talk to you later. Bye.